Welcome to the Turn One Studio podcast. In this episode, I am here with Stacey Nigro from Studin, Young and Nigro law firm. Welcome, Stacey.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So, what does your law firm do?
My practice focuses on commercial litigation, corporate and business law, real estate, landlord-tenant,
Okay.
mediations, and just alternative dispute resolutions. And my partners focus on matrimonial, family, custody, visitation, things like that.
Very cool. How long have you guys been together?
We have been together probably going into our 4th year
Okay.
as a new firm.
All right. That's still considered new?
I think it is.
Okay.
Considering how many years we've all been practicing, I think it
Okay.
is.
So, what brought you four together?
We were all in different places.
Okay.
One of my partners was running her own firm for many, many years from inception. My other partner was running a firm with her husband, and I was working for other law firms.
Okay.
And we used to always say, you know what, we should get together. We should do this. Why aren't we doing this together? And we got to the point where we said, all right, let's do it. Tag, you're it. And we did it. And it's been really great, really great.
So, if I'm doing the math correctly, this would have been during or after COVID?
After COVID.
After COVID. Okay. So that's an interesting time to start a business.
Yes.
Okay. How was it being an attorney during the COVID time with having to do stuff remotely?
During COVID was difficult. I think that we probably handled and faced some of the same challenges. Number one was, how do you work from home? How are you not in your office? How are you not in court? How do you maintain your staff? How are you handling all your cases and dealing with the court system? But I think that once you got into your groove and you set yourself up and you realize you're not working from your bedroom in your pajamas, because that's not productive and that throws everything off, and you get into your system and you set up your equipment and you realize life is still going on, you get there. I think it's probably different for all different types of firms and practices.
Sure.
We were in different places at the time, but we managed.
How did courts accommodate remote litigation and whatnot?
Courts actually started doing all conferences remote. They adjourned most things that were not priority.
Okay.
And then they started this email system that we really didn't have before. So now every court and almost every judge has, especially in the litigation components, they have email addresses. So now we can email the courts. And so the judge would get it, the judge's law secretary would get it, a court clerk would get it, and the adversaries would get it. And we were literally doing everything by email and Zoom. Zoom obviously took
Zoom
off.
was huge. All right, so the court system became a better place as a result of this, kind of?
The court system became a more accommodating place, I think. I think that the after effects are, it's just everything's delayed.
Okay.
Nothing seems to move as quickly as it used to.
Yeah. So is everything caught up at this point?
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, no.
All right. So I know, I don't know if I know. I want to say I know that when it comes to corporate litigations, it's typically a lengthy process, but I guess it's case by case.
So I think all litigation currently is a lengthy process.
Okay.
So I think what used to be a 1 to 3 year life of a litigation is now a 3 to 5.
Okay.
The courts are just still catching up. They're backlogged. There's probably staffing issues. I just don't think that it's very efficient. There are Nassau, Suffolk, and all of the counties really in the state have a commercial division, which was implemented many, many years ago in order to be more efficient and effective and quicker to accommodate businesses, so that you get in, the judges are more hands-on, less more procedures, but less procedures. So you get in and out quicker.
Okay.
But even those commercial division parts are still backlogged. It's difficult.
Okay. So speaking of business law, what would you tell a business owner about what you do that you don't think they would know that you do? How could a business owner really utilize someone in your position?
So I think when you hear that somebody is a commercial litigation attorney, you're like, no, thank you. I don't need to be in court. I don't need to litigate.
Sounds scary.
Yes, nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's costly. It's timely. But I think that more importantly is, in order to avoid that, is you have to use an attorney before you get there.
Okay.
So a lot of business owners don't realize that if you spend less money, but you have your corporate documents in order, your employment agreements, your restrictive covenants, your non-competes and non-solicitations in there, even your corporate forms, your employees, your labor law obligations, and you have everything wrapped up and tied up, your partnership agreements, exit, interview strategies, things like that,
Hmm.
then you will have a less likely chance of ending up in litigation. You have to dot your I's and cross your T's before.
Right.
So I always say you don't just draft your contract on a napkin, during happy hour. That just
Right.
doesn't work.
Okay. It's more than just a handshake.
It's more than a handshake.
Okay. So I would imagine a lot of companies, at least smaller ones that aren't familiar with what you can offer, might rely on their HR department to put some of this stuff together. Do you commonly see that, and do you see flaws in that?
I see with the HR departments that you'll get something that is helpful and usable.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll have like employee handbooks,
Okay.
which are great. Doesn't mean it's perfect,
Okay.
and it might be more standard and not
They're
not
super generic.
right,
Okay.
not custom to what you need and what your needs are for your employees and how you want to operate. So it's fine if that's included in your package. That's a great starting place.
Right.
And you can start a lot of it, but I still think before you sign on the dotted line and you finalize, you should have an attorney look at it to make sure that you're protected, and that you're complying with the laws and preventing the what ifs
Right.
and the unknowns.
Okay, fantastic. So when I talk to from a marketing perspective, and I'm talking to business owners about their business, every once in a while, and I'm bringing it up more for different reasons, but every once in a while I'll bring up, um, when do you plan to exit? And I have some marketing reasons why I asked that question, but every business owner starts a business, obviously, so they think about the process of starting a business,
Or they inherit.
or they inherit, right? Very often I found few think about how to exit their business. And I feel like as part of the process of doing so, working with someone like you to make sure that their documentation's in order is a good idea. I don't know if this is a fair question to ask, but if I think I might be retiring or just shuttering my business, is there a timetable at which I should consider bringing you in sooner rather than later? Is it 5 years before I plan on doing that? 10 years? Is that even a
So
fair
funny,
question?
I literally just got a message from a client that I handled some real estate transactions for a couple of years ago saying, I'm thinking about retiring and selling my business.
Okay.
What do I need to do? I said, well, let's sit down and talk about where we are. Let's see who the owners are, what assets there are, what liabilities there
Hmm.
are, and what the relationship is with your employees. And let's see what your plan is. Are you going to stay on and run it for them? Is it a full purchase? Are you
Right.
selling all your shares? So it doesn't have to be 5 years. And you may not even know yet who you're selling to, or you may have somebody, maybe an employer that wants to buy. I have a couple of clients that want to. They're aging out, and some employees want to take it, some
Hmm.
competitors. I have another client that a competitor wants to possibly buy it.
Okay.
So it depends on the timing is specific to the business and what the plan is. But it's never too early to sit down and look at what you have and where you want to go.
Yeah.
And I also talk about my corporate clients making sure that their leases address that. If you want to sell your shares, with respect to whether it's an assignment that needs a landlord's consent. So we look at that plan when you're entering into all different types of business transactions. What's your plan? What's your goal?
Yeah.
Where do you want to be?
That's good. That's smart.
It's like dating profile.
Yeah. This is more of a business sale question, I guess, than a legal question. But do you find when one company wants to buy another that they are just buying the company, or are they leaning more towards just stripping out and buying the IP so they don't take on the liabilities that come with buying the whole company?
Ideally, you would likely want an asset purchase
Okay.
where we're purchasing the assets and not the
Not the
liabilities.
whole thing. Okay. Does that become an issue when it comes to retaining staff?
It
Or is the staff
depends.
really just moving to that other entity, even though it's
Not necessarily. It depends on how big of a company
okay?
and who's buying it.
Okay.
Yeah, it would depend on if the company is a large company, assuming it and bringing its own employees.
Right.
If it's family business, how long your employees have been there, the size of the business.
Okay. What should I know that I might not already know about what you do?
Um, Professionally,
Yeah. We're gonna get into personal next, but
that's what scares
professionally.
me. I knew you were going to go there. My firm is an all-women law firm,
Okay.
and we focus on promoting and encouraging and teaching professionals to get where they are. We take a team approach to make sure that our clients have access to all of the attorneys in our office to satisfy all of their needs. So our matrimonial family, divorce clients have access to the commercial attorneys with respects to transferring businesses,
Okay.
selling assets, real property, and
Common
things like that,
overlaps.
trusts, everything. So we want to make sure that we are like a full service and offer our clients as many resources as possible.
Okay.
We're local. We're in Woodbury, which is really nice, I
Are you
think.
guys MWBE certified?
No,
You're not.
we're not.
Okay. If you were, I was going to ask you if that led to much business with how you get business.
I
But
worked with a couple of clients many years ago with respect to that, and the types of contracts, I'm not sure.
yeah.
It's something that I have on my to-do list,
hmm
so
Okay.
we'll look into it and see
Would
if
you
maybe it
guys?
works for us.
Do you work with
Government
municipalities and
entities.
stuff? Yeah.
The litigation department would.
Okay.
Yeah, we would defend villages, towns, counties, things like that.
Okay. Nice. All right. So on the personal side,
Here we go.
did little Stacy always dream of being an attorney?
No,
No. So how did this
no.
happen?
I graduated college and I worked for a nonprofit
Okay.
company. I was a bail bondsman, and then I jumped to treatment alternatives to street crime, helping addicts,
Okay.
people facing addictions that are facing criminal charges to get into the treatment,
Okay.
all part of the same non for profit. And then that led me into mediation programs for the state of New York that were funded to start mediation programs in the court system. We did mediation for the police department, for the schools, peer mediation, special education, early intervention. Mediation was just on the rise at that time.
Okay.
And so we started those programs. I started the mediation programs in small claims courts at the Department of Social Services, had mediators trained thousands of them over the years, and had them nicely placed in all different departments and agencies. And then I had my daughter, and it was time to come back to work, and I
Okay.
wasn't sure mediation was going to be enough for me.
Mhm.
Running those centers was great, and I learned a lot about myself
Mhm.
and business, but I teetered with going to law school because I loved when I was working in the courts.
Okay.
The bail bondsman, the criminal justice system, I loved it. I thought it was exciting. Little did I know, no, it is. And so I said, I think I'm going to law school. And my family said, don't go to law school. What are you, crazy? Don't go to law
Really?
school. Do not, it's too hard. I was a single mom at the time. My
Okay.
daughter was very, very young. And it was just like, why do you need it to be so hard?
Okay.
And I think it was, the more someone says don't do it,
And encourage you to do it.
made me want to do it
So
even
are there
more.
not other attorneys in your family?
None.
So
I was the first.
you were a
I
pioneer
was
to
the
do
first
that.
college graduate in my family.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
Well,
you.
that's huge. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That's cool. Bail bondsman.
Yeah, that was fun.
Is it like, thankfully, I don't know too much about that. Is it what I see on TV where you're chasing down?
No,
It's not that at all.
no chasing,
Okay.
no stun guns. I was interviewing individuals that were incarcerated and held on bail.
Okay.
And if they were eligible for bail release, the state, through funding, would post that bail, and we would monitor them and to make sure they got whatever treatment they needed, whatever resources, so that they would
It was
return.
conditional on the treatment.
Mhm.
Okay.
It was fun
Yeah.
and scary at the same time. I was right out of college.
Mm-hmm.
My name is on my card. I'm in the jails interviewing Nassau, Nassau Correctional Facility,
Okay.
Nassau County Correctional Facility. And so they know you. They're calling you. I'm taking my name out of the book.
Yeah.
I'm not the yellow pages back then. And so, you don't approve everybody. So it was, here I am in jail. What am I doing in jail?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lockdowns. Some people that are just calling, they're not eligible. They're not. Some are dangerous. Some are just,
Yeah.
wrong place, wrong time.
Wow. Well, that'll toughen you up.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I might have already been tough and didn't know
okay.
it, but it might have brought it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you.
Thanks.
What do you like to do for fun?
That's a good question. So when I'm not working, you'll find me with my family or my
Okay.
friends. I love spending my time, visiting and just cooking with my family, dining with my family. a lot of retail shopping.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Oh.
And traveling. I like to travel.
All
I'm
right.
not a world traveler these days, but I don't find enough time. But
What was your favorite destination?
um, probably Italy,
Okay.
which
Everyone says good things about Italy.
I am planning to go back
Oh,
this year, 2025. But other than that, I mean, give me Aruba and a beach for a week, and I'm good.
okay. Well, people say good things about Aruba too.
Yeah, I
I
love
haven't
it.
been to either, but
It's
I
great.
have to get down there.
Yeah.
Very nice. If you were talking, I guess maybe to a high school graduate or someone considering law, would you recommend it?
Would I recommend it? Yes and no.
Okay.
Depends on what type of law you would like to go into, if you know, and you
Okay.
don't necessarily have to pick. You don't pick in school.
Okay.
Um, it's not an easy life
Mm-hmm.
for the amount. Like if you're in litigation, if you're doing matrimonial, if you are in the court system, it is not an easy life. You can get served with papers on a Friday night. You're working all weekend. You've got to work your way through the channels to get to a partnership in a big firm or run your own firm. There's a lot of obligations, a
Yep.
lot of rules, a lot of laws. It's not for is it the faint of heart? Is that the saying?
Yeah, I believe it is.
But it's challenging, and for people that love to argue, that feel compelled to justice, it's
It's
great.
rewarding in that respect.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are a lot of areas of the law that you are not going to be working till 11 o'clock at night on motions. So non-litigation, transactional, trust
Mm-hmm.
and estates, and real estate, and other types of law that you can do. And I think that it's important to find your passion. Don't do it because you think it brings you a lot of money.
Okay.
Do it because you're passionate about it, and that it's going to fit your lifestyle.
Is the school track general law stuff and then you specialize in an
Not
area?
necessarily.
No. Okay.
You don't have to have a prerequisite to go to law school. I mean, other than a college graduation.
Right,
You have to
right.
graduate in college, but
So is it a lot of learning on the job as far as learning what you like versus what you don't?
there's required courses for your
Mhm.
first couple of years, your first 2 years probably before. I haven't been to law school in many, many years, but your first year is going to be all set classes that are required.
Right.
And you probably get to pick your electives your third year if you want to focus more on, if you want to focus on international law, or
Okay.
you want to focus on trust and estates law. You'll get your basics, but I think you get to focus. I did the 4-year plan because I had a young daughter, so I had to go part-time.
Sure.
And I actually went to Toro Law School, which was the only school on Long Island that offered a 10 to 2 program. So I could drop my daughter at school, in class by 10, out by
Oh, how
2,
cool is
pick
that?
up at 3. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. It worked for me. So I don't know the second year, third year, fourth year breakdown,
Right.
but you don't have to specialize. You can decide what excites you. Some people get a law degree for different reasons. Not everybody intends to practice.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And you could be a lawyer if you're an introvert, right? There are areas of law where you don't have to. I'm basing this on Hollywood. I don't have to stand in front of a courtroom.
Not at all.
Okay.
There are lawyers that have never seen the inside of a courtroom.
Really?
Most corporate lawyers, they don't litigate, they don't go to court.
Okay.
Trust and estate attorneys that do estate planning don't go to court. I mean, you file documents, but you don't necessarily go into court, and you don't argue, and you don't try cases.
Right.
Real estate attorneys they're transactional. If you're a transactional attorney, you're not litigating. And you don't have to be willing to put yourself out there and argue.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, of
So you
course.
aspiring kids out there, something worth considering.
So I've done a lot of like career day inks and
Okay.
like volunteer work, and I've come across a lot of young students that have an idea of what it's like to be a lawyer. Totally impressed. They know exactly what they're talking about,
Really?
and they want to be out there, and they want to be heard, and they want to express their opinions, and be front and center. And I think it's amazing. They have a lot of confidence.
I would imagine that helps. So I have a silly question.
No question is silly.
This one's silly.
Okay.
The show Suits. What is the most absurd thing that they do on the show that's not real?
So funny because I watched it when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. And then I just started rewatching it again about 2 weeks ago. So I'm like right in the heart of it again.
Yeah.
The silliest thing is that you go to trial tomorrow. Everybody has trial in 2 days, 5 days. Deposition tomorrow. That doesn't happen like that.
That urgency is not possible.
No. I mean, there are urgent situations, but nobody is at trial in 4 days.
Yeah.
Nobody has a deposition, tomorrow on one day's notice. It just doesn't happen like that. It's absurd.
Okay. Okay.
And also, what's also weird is that the attorneys are always talking to the other side without counsel present. That is
Oh, that's a big no-no.
forbidden.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always found it funny in the show how they always have that thin folder with everything. It's just all there.
It's
And
hysterical.
yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, their motions are like this. Our motions are like this. Sometimes they're delivered in boxes
Oh
to
my
the
gosh.
court. So the courts are like, no, thank you. But yeah, this blue folder. There
So
you go. And they go like this very quickly. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to lose. Oh my God, you got it. You got the best argument. And they don't
right.
even read anything. That's not realistic
Not
either.
not to beat the suits
But I love
dead
it. I
horse.
love the show.
But one more question. When they flood the other firm with boxes and boxes of paper as a tactic, is that something that happens? Is that a common
Yes.
thing? Really?
Yes.
And the receiving entity is forced to go through that to deal with it.
So usually in standard cases, nobody wants to produce documents. So you have to fight to get them.
Okay.
And then when you do get them, it's a be careful what you ask for. You'll get 7 copies of the same thing, and they won't be in order, and they won't be organized like they're supposed to be.
Okay.
And in large cases, like you're talking class action cases or product liability cases and things like that, you are going to get a room full of boxes. Yep.
All right. So let's wrap up here. I want to ask before I forget, what is an ideal client for you? Who should I be and the listeners be looking out for to try to refer business your way?
I get a lot of referrals from other professionals,
Okay.
accountants, financial advisors, bankers, other attorneys that don't litigate
Okay.
when their transactional matters have gone awry. So I think anyone that like owners of retail stores, commercial spaces,
Okay.
um, banks, clients that have continuous litigation matters, corporate clients that are having their employees sign employment contracts, large sign-on bonuses,
Okay.
landlords, commercial landlords that have a lot of space and that's a continuous need. We do the eviction proceedings, non-payments and holdovers and things like that. So
All right.
property managers.
Property man. Okay. Good. That's a strong list.
Good. Glad.
Stacey, this is awesome. Thank you for
It was
coming.
so nice to be here. I love it here.
This was
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you.